Okay, so 23.
Hmm.
Just let that number sink in for a second. 23.
It's a lot.
It's the size of a World Cup roster. It's, a full classroom.
It is a full classroom. And just managing a classroom it's hard enough.
Exactly. Now, if I said one guy was married to 23 women at the same time, your brain, it probably jumps to a very specific image.
Oh, yeah. You're picturing a compound somewhere, right? High fences, total isolation.
Some kind of charismatic cult leader.
That's the standard model for this kind of thing. It's what we call insular control.
Mm-hmm.
You have to control the environment to maintain a lie that big.
But the documents we're looking at today they completely blow that profile apart.
Completely.
We are talking about Stephen Douglas Whitmore, the Clanton Subdivision bigamist. This wasn't some remote compound.
Yeah.
This was a normal suburban subdivision. And here's the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
All 23 of his wives lived within a half-mile of each other.
It's a logistical paradox.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Not today. I mean, we're talking about a few blocks. The density of the deception is just, it's unprecedented.
That's what we're unpacking. We've got the police reports, interviews with the
The
victim.
community reaction, which is a whole other thing.
And our mission here, I think, is to look past the tabloid headline and really understand the mechanics of it all.
Right, because this isn't just a true crime story. It's a case study in extreme compartmentalization. The absolute limits of a person's cognitive load.
And really the fragility of trust in a neighborhood. It makes you ask, how well do you actually know the people waving to you from across the street?
You don't. You can't. We use these mental shortcuts to get by. We assume people are who they say they are because the alternative is exhausting.
And Whitmore just exploited that on an industrial scale.
He really did.
So let's start where the story ends, the arrest. Because it's almost too perfectly scripted.
Dripping with irony. Yeah, it happened just this morning, 9:47 a.m.
So set the scene for us, because this wasn't some high-speed chase or a SWAT team raid.
No, not even close. The setting is the local Walmart.
Of course it is.
Which in a town like Clanton is basically the town square. So Deputy Mike Bradley spots him. Whitmore is just standing in line at the pharmacy.
And you'd expect, what, some tension? A guy about to face 22 counts of bigamy?
You'd expect him to run or deny it or something. But the report says he was totally calm.
Resigned, almost.
Yeah. But he did have one request before they cuffed him.
He wanted to pick up his prescription.
Asked if he could just finish his transaction first.
And when you find out what the prescription was, I mean, it's the perfect punchline.
He was waiting for a massive refill of Viagra.
You cannot make this up. The man is juggling 23 households, and the cops find him trying to secure performance enhancers.
Well, look, it sounds funny, but analytically, it's actually a piece of evidence.
How?
It speaks to the sheer physical toll of his crimes. Maintaining that many intimate relationships, it's not biologically normal. The demand would be immense.
It's a business expense at that point.
Essentially, yeah. Deputy Bradley denied the request, obviously. But the report notes the pharmacist looked very relieved when they took him away.
I bet.
The quantity he was asking for had already tripped some flags.
Okay, so that's the end. But the beginning of the end, that happened back in mid-December.
And it brings us right back to Walmart.
It always comes back to Walmart.
It is the nexus.
So tell us about the frozen food incident.
Right, this is the catalyst. This is where the probability game he'd been playing for years finally caught up to him. You've got Jennifer Hayes, one of the wives. She's in the frozen food aisle. She looks up, and there's her husband.
Just a normal, oh, hey, honey moment.
Except he's with another woman.
Uh-huh.
And they're holding hands.
Uh-huh.
And she's calling him her husband.
Oh, wow. The nightmare scenario.
And most people, they'd panic. They'd invent a sister, a cousin.
Some kind of lie.
But the density of it all backfired. Jennifer confronted him. Right there. The argument spills out into the parking lot.
And that's where the math really turns on him.
Exactly. Because a third wife just happens to be in the parking lot, sees the commotion, recognizes her husband.
No way.
And joins in. So now you have 3 women standing on the asphalt comparing notes.
And the realization must have been just horrifying. They don't just share a husband, they share a subdivision.
That's the moment the whole thing breaks. And what I find impressive is that they didn't just retreat.
They mobilized.
That is the perfect word. They became an investigative unit overnight, exchanging numbers right there, comparing his business trips, his excuses, his schedules.
And the patterns just clicked into place.
Perfectly. And then they started, calling their neighbors.
Can you imagine making that phone call? Hi, sorry to bother you, but Does your husband happen to be a long-haul trucker who looks like this?
Agonizing. But it worked. In 1 week, 7 days, they identified all 23 victims.
All within that half mile.
All right there.
Which brings us to the biggest question. The how. I mean, I can barely manage a shared calendar with one person. How does one human being run the logistics for 23 separate families?
This is where we have to look at the psychology
Yeah.
and the technology. According to what they found on his laptop, this wasn't luck. This was a high-level data management operation.
His spreadsheets.
Oh, yeah. Meticulous, color-coded spreadsheets. It was the digital command center. It tracked everything.
Like what?
Which house he was at on which night, which name he was using, which job he supposedly had.
It's like air traffic control for bigamy.
It had to be. Think about cognitive load. Lying is mentally expensive.
Yeah.
You have to remember the truth, invent the lie, remember who you told it to.
And he's multiplying that by 23.
The load would be crushing, so he outsourced it to the spreadsheets. He even tracked the neighborhood's social graph.
Wait, what does that even mean?
It means he logged which wives were friends with which neighbors.
What?
For containment. So if wife A is friends with neighbor B, he had to make sure wife C didn't show up at neighbor B's barbecue on a night he was there being husband A.
He was managing the entire social ecosystem.
To keep the worlds from colliding, yes.
And it's just, it's exhausting to even think about. And the personas, he wasn't just Steve at every house.
Not at all. He built entire archetypes.
Yeah.
And the jobs he chose were, frankly, strategically brilliant. They were all designed to explain his absence.
Okay, run through a few of them.
So, to one wife, he was David Patterson, a long-haul truck driver.
Classic. Built-in excuse to be gone for days.
Exactly. To another, he's Robert Mitchell, an oil rig worker. Same principle, weeks away at a time.
It manages expectations.
Then you get the personality shifts. To one woman, he was James Cooper, a quiet accountant who gardens.
A quiet accountant, okay.
And to another, Thomas Henderson, a wilderness guide.
So on Monday, he's talking tax codes, and on Tuesday, he's what, skinning a squirrel?
Presumably. He was also a philosophy professor and a marathon runner.
The acting range alone. One of the wives said her husband wouldn't know which end of a rifle to hold. She was shocked to hear he was playing this rugged outdoorsman to someone else.
He wasn't just lying, he was performing. Different clothes, different hairstyles, different vocabulary.
But the schedule, 2 or 3 nights a week at each place, the math still seems impossible.
That's the thing, it's a rotation. He'd spend a couple nights at one house, then move on. He used the travel-heavy jobs as the cover story for why he was gone the other 80% of the time.
He was a shark. He had to keep moving or the whole thing would die.
Precisely.
But we have to pivot here because this isn't just some fascinating logistical puzzle. There's a really nasty side to this. This was a grift.
Oh, it was absolutely financial fraud. This is where the damage gets very real. Whitmore wasn't supporting 23 households.
They were supporting him.
100%. He had them paying all the bills.
Yeah.
Mortgage, utilities, groceries, everything.
But if he's an oil rig worker, he should be making good money. How did he explain being broke?
He used a very specific, very manipulative lie. The ex-wife in Florida.
Ah, the Phantom X.
He told them his entire paycheck was being garnished to pay for, massive debts or medical bills for his sick ex-wife.
Oh, didn't exist.
Did not exist. But it weaponizes the new wife's empathy. One woman, Amy Rodriguez, said she paid for everything for 5 years. She thought she was being a good partner, helping him do the honorable thing.
That is just devastating to think you're making a sacrifice for a moral reason when you're just funding his life with 22 other women.
It gets even pettier. The support group the wives formed. They uncovered what they're calling gift recycling.
I read this part. It is so cold.
Incredibly callous. One wife mentioned a gold necklace she got for an anniversary. Turns out at least 3 other wives received the exact same one.
He wasn't buying them in bulk.
No. He would give it to one, then a few months later take it back, saying he was getting it cleaned or fixed, and then just re-gift it to the next wife.
That is sociopathic efficiency.
Then there's the watch. Margaret Sullivan, she's the HOA president, we'll get back to her. She gave him an expensive watch. He turned around and gave it to another wife, claiming he'd bought it for himself.
So the wives were just unknowingly passing gifts to each other through him.
Yes. They were funding each other's anniversaries. And legally, he is in so much trouble. He has only one legal wife, Susan, married in 2003.
The original.
Only one that counts. So he's facing 22 counts of bigamy. plus a mountain of fraud and identity theft charges.
So let's zoom out to the neighborhood. Whitmore's in jail, but these women, they still have to live there. They see each other at the mailbox.
And that's the lingering awkwardness of it all. The source describes this surreal atmosphere, just awkward nods. Everyone knows they shared a husband. They know about the necklace.
And the reactions are split, right? Some are leaving.
Very much so. You have people like Michelle Harper, who put her house on the market immediately. She said, "I can't stay here. Every neighbor is a reminder."
I get that. The place itself is the scene of the crime.
But then you have Dorothy Chase, who's staying. She said, "Why should we be the ones to leave?" She feels like they formed a bizarre kind of community, a trauma bond.
Wow. Okay, now we have to talk about how the rest of the town is processing this. Because when something this absurd happens, people reach for explanations.
And the theories are colorful.
Let's start with Randy Pickett.
Randy is a local who believes this is all connected to a burial mound that's destabilizing traditional family structures.
A cursed burial mound, okay.
And he also suspects a Chinese genetics lab enhanced Whitmore's stamina to explain the Viagra situation.
Of course. It has to be a conspiracy.
It's easier to believe in sci-fi than to believe your neighbor is capable of this. Then you have Pastor Dale Hutchins. He's blaming demonic polygamy.
Demonic polygamy.
Which he says entered our world through a possum yoga portal.
I'm sorry, a what? A possum?
A possum yoga portal. His words. Yeah, he said it gave Whitmore superhuman deception.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds awful.
But these theories, they show a community in shock. Thankfully, Dr. James Richardson from Auburn University called them idiotic, his word, and just labeled it plain fraud.
Although even he admitted the Viagra raises questions about logistics management.
Even the academic is baffled by the stamina.
So where does this all land? What happens now?
Well, Whitmore is being held on a $500,000 bond.
And Susan, the legal wife,
filed for divorce. So after juggling 23, he's about to have 0.
And the neighborhood
is trying to figure out how to move on.
Yeah.
But the most telling detail, for me, comes from the upcoming HOA meeting agenda.
Oh, the HOA, always.
Margaret Sullivan, the president, and one of the wives, remember? Yeah. She points out that their bylaws don't have a clause for accidental polygamy cults.
I mean, that's a pretty big oversight.
But then she says, and this is the best part, we still need to resolve the beige mailbox issue.
No.
Yes.
After all of this, the mailboxes.
The beige mailboxes are still on the agenda for Tuesday.
That's, you know what? In a weird way, that's almost comforting. The world can fall apart, but the HOA still has priorities.
Bureaucracy survives. Life goes on.
It really does. You know, this whole thing, it just makes you look at your own street differently. We assume so much about the people around us.
We have to. Society runs on that basic level of trust. We don't ask for proof of employment at the block party.
And he just hacked that trust. He used our own politeness against us.
He did.
So I guess the takeaway for everyone listening today is maybe pay a little more attention. And if your neighbor seems to have a completely different personality every time you see him,
maybe ask a follow-up question. And definitely check your HOA bylaws. You never know what's missing.
That's a wrap on the Clanton Subdivision Bigamist, a story of logistics, deception, and a very, very busy pharmacy. Thanks for diving in with us.
Be curious.
And maybe, check to see if your watch was a gift to someone else first. We'll see you next time.